What's up guys, my name is Phil. Welcome back to Miranda Detailing. In today's video, we're working on this Ford F-150 and it's got some issues on the paint. You see all that dirt there? Look how it flushes it. Guys, the F-150 is in for a full detail, inside and out, but we're also dealing with something really annoying that is typical down here in Virginia. We're talking about artillery fungus mold spores. These little things. So these are peppered throughout the entire vehicle, kind of concentrated on this side and the top. But as you can see, look at the condition of the paint. It's so bad. But basically the owner was trying to remove these spots and went maybe too a little aggressive. A lot of guys will try to scrub these off with a little scrubby pad, and then that's what your paint will look like. Yeah, so there's one. Now, if you can catch these early on, these little artillery mold fungus spores, if you can catch them early on, they're easy to remove. But once they stay on here and they bake and they really start to stick, they are extremely difficult. Now, you can pop them off, but you're left with what I call an anchor. It's a little glue anchor, and that is even more difficult to remove. So yeah, you can pop off the tops of those little artillery fungus heads, but removing the rest of them is really, really difficult. So we're going to give this an O&R bath, and that's because it's really horrible out. It's raining, and I'm not going to wash this traditionally because the owner's going to pick it up later on today and it's going to rain all day. So we're going to give it an O&R bath. We're going to decon it mechanically, not worried about chemicals in here. Decon it mechanically so it's nice and smooth, and then remove those mold spores. And then we're going to just do a light polish. No paint enhancement, just a light polish to remove the marring that we induced, and also to clear up the paint, make it look much better. Well, you can see there's some deep stuff there. So can't go too crazy on this because he's not paying for a paint enhancement, but he is paying to remove those mold spores and to basically remove the marring that we're going to induce. But there is a lot of things going on in this paint. It's in pretty rough shape, but by the end, it should be smooth, glossy, and artillery fungus free. So guys, you can use any clay bar, traditional clay bar that you want to remove those spores. We're going to show you exactly how to do that. There has been some confusion. Some people think that it's a chemical removing it. It's not. We just use a regular clay lubricant. It's the claying that's important. Now you can use any clay bar you want. Mother's has a great clay. Meguiar's does. We have Lithium's clay bar. We have the AM clay, which I love. And now we have the new surface clay from Car Supply's warehouse. Now this is their level 3 intense clay bar. It is much more aggressive than your usual fine, mild clay bar. It's meant to remove overspray and heavy particulates and things on the paint that are really going to stick to it and don't come off with the traditional fine clay bar. So we're going to use this and see how this works on the paint to remove those mold spores. And we have a couple of different options to polish it. We're going to probably use an all-in-one polish, something like 3D Speed, or we have the Uno Protect. Uno Protect. We have a couple different choices to choose from, and we'll work with our favorite Lake Country Orange pads because that's the perfect compounding / polishing pad to use. So let's get started on this thing. Let's show you a couple of befores as we were going around the vehicle. I kind of showed you, but let me get some close-ups of some of the mold spores and the condition of the paint, and then we'll get to washing it and removing those mold spores. So guys, I'm going to make this very simple. I'm using a bucket that I put some O&R in, and I also have a wash mitt and my clay mitt in there. Now, you can do this a couple of different ways. You can put a bunch of towels in there and use the towels, but I'm not worried about that because this truck is so swirled and messed up anyway, so I'm not worried about inducing any more damage onto it. Again, it's not a big deal. When a truck like this comes in, you're going to be doing some polishing to it anyway, and you need to be aggressive with a clay bar to remove those mold spores. Of what difference is it if you're going to try to wash it as safely as possible? Doesn't matter. So what I'm using is the little Ender Camp wash thing. This thing is awesome. It's cordless. I do have a video dedicated to this. Oh yeah, I sprayed myself with it too, by the way. But I have that guy right there. It is a battery powered unit, and I think it's about 20 feet of cord or 15 feet of cord. So it's, or not cord, but hose. It's cordless. You can pick it up, you can move it around. It actually has little wheels on it, so you can move this around. You can put about maybe 3 gallons of solution. So I put O&R solution in there, and then it's powered by this little battery pack. Perfect for jobs like this. And it puts out just enough water and pressure to soak down the surface and even knock down some of the heavier particles here. Same with the wheels and the tires. And you can go over the entire panel first, and then take your wash mitt in the O&R solution and wash, basically, the panel. Now again, some guys probably didn't listen to me at first. I'm not worried about inducing any damage on the paint. It's not going to cause more damage than there already is, so don't get hung up on that. Even down here, I need to remove some tar. I'll do that after everything is washed. I'm going to use the mitt, and this will remove some of the mold spores. Actually, I can already see it's knocking off a bunch of them, but I know that some of them are going to remain. That's just what happens, unfortunately. And if this does induce the marring, then again, the next step, the machine applied light polish and all-in-one, whatever product you choose to use, is going to remove the marring. So don't worry about that. What you want to do is just get the paint clean, get it surgically clean and ready for the deconning phases. I can already feel it's starting to get smooth. It's removing some of these mold spores already, which is great. So you just put a little bit of pressure. Ooh, you can hear them. Oh, that's bad. So, yep. But it is removing them, so that's good. I think some of them in the front are going to be a lot worse. Ooh, that one's bad. That one came off. Good. All right. Now that's smooth. Yep. Okay. That feels good. There's a little spore there. A little spore there. All right. That's looking good. And then we'll simply go back over it with a drying towel and just dry the paint per usual. Now it's going to be nice and smooth, squeaky clean, and yes, it's going to have some marring, but it was already marred up like crazy. So if this paint was in good condition with none of those heavy swirls and marring in it already, then of course I'd be more careful. Obviously, use logic and thinking ability when you're doing jobs like this. Assess these jobs individually. Don't treat them just all the same. According to what the vehicle needs and what the customer needs, that's how you're going to, first of all, manage their expectations, and then manage how you're going to clean it. This is just quick. It's fast. That way I can get to the polishing as quickly as possible. So this little spore here and a few of these are on the passenger side. We're going to remove that. We're going to see if we can remove it with the clay mitt first. It might pop right off. It might come right off. We'll see. Oh wow, yep, that just popped it right off. Okay, good. So these haven't been on here for too long, but there are some stubborn ones over here that are not coming off. So there are some really stubborn ones right here we're going to focus on and use the clay because they're not coming off with the clay mitt that easily. So there's some here, and the top surface of them have popped off, and I can't even feel it, but it's there. So we're going to use some lubricant. And let's focus in on one really close, like maybe that one, and we'll, yep, there you go. Put a little bit of pressure with that red aggressive clay. Oh, wow, nice, and it removes it. So it's no magical solution, it's just a clay bar lube, but it's the clay bar that is removing those little spores, those little anchors. It's basically like a natural glue. Sometimes they can be really difficult to remove. You got to put some pressure on it. But remember, this is going to mar the paint no matter what you do. Unfortunately, it's just going to mar the paint. So the point is to remove them. The point is to remove them and then to have to polish after. That's just what you have to do. So back and forth motion, sometimes a twisting motion like that can work as well. And you're basically abrading it off with this aggressive clay bar. So that's working. It's actually coming off. We're going to do that throughout the entire vehicle because we have all of them peppered throughout the vehicle. I think that's nice. Yeah, that's just dirt. But we've already cleaned this and used the clay mitt to get the majority, and it's just leaving the little spores that you have to attack with individual clay. But it's working. So once we dry this, we'll see how bad the paint looks. Now these mold spores are coming off relatively easily, which is good. We've had others that were much worse than this. But we actually have another job coming to us in a couple of weeks that's far worse than this. The mold spores have peppered the entire front and sides, both sides, and it's not just little dots here and there. It's almost every quarter inch there's a mold spore. The good thing about it is, again, it's sort of fresh. Even within a few weeks, they can still be relatively easy to remove, which is good. But it's a black vehicle, and we're going to need to polish it, and we definitely had to price it out accordingly. So if you're dealing with mold spores, find out how long they've been on there and price that accordingly. You're going to need to polish it after. There's no way to get around it. You're going to mar the paint. You have to polish it. So work that into your pricing. Guys, we're working around the vehicle. It's pretty much all washed now. We're going through all the little cracks and crevices. Now, because we couldn't bring it outside, it's pouring out, and I didn't want to just get soaked out there. To do a traditional wash, there are some areas that need attention, like in here. So you can see all that dirt. So you could just take your towel and get in there and pull that dirt out, which is a viable option. It's fine. It's probably what I'm going to do also to get into some of those areas. However, the pressure of this little guy is enough to actually flush that out. Now here I'm on the little ladder, so I'm going to put that between my knees here so it doesn't hit the paint. If it hits the plastic here, I'm not worried about it. I don't want it really hitting the paint. But you see all that dirt there? Look how it flushes it out. Not bad, right? Then you can get in there and use the towel or a brush or whatever to clean those areas out. But it does a really good job of flushing out all of those little cracks and crevices with the dirt. And then you can just kind of mist everything and make sure it's all flushed away. And then you can get in there. Look how nice it already looks. So that's a great little tip when you're using this little thing. And yeah, see how it gets wet in here? But it's very minimal. And once I get a better floor down, we'll be able to just mop it up with no problem and dry it. So let's finish this, and then we're going to show you the condition of the paint after everything is dried. So when it comes to the wheels, we're not going to do any type of iron decon or anything like that. We're just going to use an all-purpose cleaner and clean up the wheels and tires. Again, it's pouring out. Yeah, pouring out. So I'm not going to bring it out there and make a big mess because it's going to be like this all day. I'm thankful because I have the garage and the customer brought it to me despite the weather. So I'm happy for that. But that means if I do the traditional wash and clean everything up like I usually do, it's just going to get dirty and wet again. So that's okay. The customer understands that. Communicate that to your customer. I'm going to use Extra Tough and spray the wheel down and the tire, but not too much, just enough to mist everything. And you can use either a brush if you want. I do have some of these old grungy brushes that I save just for these purposes. And go ahead and agitate all these areas. You can also just use a towel and make sure to clean the wheel. And don't worry about getting, I'm not going to worry about getting inside the barrels because I just don't need to make any more of a mess that is needed in here. But we got a lot of damage here anyway, so a lot of this, the brake dust, is not going to come out. This chrome, though, we will be able to bring back. I'll show you how to do that. And then just wipe down the wheel. And then get a second dry towel. Dry everything down as much as possible, or you can blow dry it. Do whatever you need. We are going to blow dry some of the crevices anyway. I'm going to get underneath the little wheel well part here. I'm going to detar all of this, but that's clean for now, and then I'll go in and polish these sections. Maybe use a little polish in here and see if we can get some of this out. To do a rinseless wash in here like this is just the easiest way to go. So we're using Tar X to remove that. So spray it on, let it dwell, and sometimes you see it start to dissolve it, and sometimes it doesn't. But either way, you know it's going to be working on the tar and starting to make it soft so that you can remove it. You can spray it onto your towel also, but work the product into the little tar bits and work on them and gradually remove them. Sometimes they come off in a big chunk, and then you're left with just a little bit of the tar on the paint. That's fine. Use a little bit more. Oh, there we go. See how it's all smudgy? It's starting to run. That wasn't from the towel. That's actually from it running. It's almost like the top layer cured, and then once you start to rub that top layer off, then it starts to really dissolve. Yeah, that's what we want to see. That's nice. So once it starts doing that, it's really softened up and it just is removed relatively easily. That's good. Okay. Sometimes you have to do a couple of different applications to get the remainder. Oh, there we go. See, it's starting to dissolve a little bit more. Starting to run like that, and that's good. Same with that one a little bit. That one. That one. So it softens it up even more. All right, now that's nice and clean. Oh boy, guys, this poor paint is in rough shape. It really doesn't look any different than when we started as far as the, horrible swirls and marring. But we did manage to get all of the artillery fungus. It's now super smooth and it feels really nice, but it just looks horrible. So it's still kind of drying. It's taking a little bit of time to dry because it's so damp out. But it is already, well, it's looking nice if you don't put any lights on it. Well, we're going to treat all the plastics first. So all of this will be treated, all the windshield cowl, the textured plastics, and we actually have some interesting coatings for the metal here. Now, I'm throwing this in as a freebie for the customer. He doesn't know, shh, but we're going to be using Dr. Beasley's metal coat on the chrome there and even on the chrome here. So we're going to polish this and then we're going to coat it with the Dr. Beasley's metal coat. You can put that on all the chromes, any metal basically, any bare aluminum or chrome, whatever it is. So you can actually put it on all of this up here, and it's going to protect it. It's basically a metal coating. Now, you can put a ceramic coating right on top of this, and it's fine, but it's designed for metal, so you can choose what you want to do. You don't have to use a specific product for metal coat, but if you want to, then it's here for you to try. But it says it will protect it from staining and etching, so any exposed metal surfaces, it will protect. So that is nice that they have a dedicated product for that. When it comes to the clay from Car Supply's warehouse, this stuff is awesome. Now, it's aggressive, but it doesn't feel like other aggressive clays that I've used. It still feels, I don't know, kind of on the medium to fine, but I guess it does a really good job. Oh, there's a little bit of a mold spore that it picked up. It's pretty sticky, which is, you know, what a clay bar usually is anyway. But it did a great job of removing all of the spores. And as far as the damage that it does, it's going to induce marring. Any clay barring will anyway. Whether it's a heavy or a fine, it's going to induce some marring, especially on soft paint. And this is pretty soft. So it's a good and a bad thing because, oh, what's that? Oh, drip of water. Because we can easily polish this out and it'll look nice again. So you can see the heavy marring, some of it from the clay mitt because we had to be aggressive, and then some of it with the clay, the heavy clay from Car Supply's warehouse. But very happy with this clay. It is really nice, very easy to work with. It's not super tough and, you know, heavy clay that you can't maneuver it, you can't mold it. It's actually very moldable and I guess pretty aggressive. So I'm very happy with that stuff. If you want to pick it up, then you can go to Car Supply's warehouse and you can pick some up for yourself. Now, you're going to see a lot of the products here. Some you can just get on Amazon, some on Car Supply's warehouse. But we're going to, you know, use a couple different products here and play around with a few to see what gets the best results. We also just picked up the new bead booster from Meguiar's, which I got to play around with that, and these are the results. Yep, I'm going to go out into the rain for you. We were playing around on the trunk here with one of our students from the detailing workshop, and we put the bead booster on it. Yeah, looks really, really nice. So that's pretty awesome. So that stuff you can use as a standalone protection or on a coating or on the wax or sealant of your choice. So it'll bond to it, it'll work great for maintenance. Well guys, we're on now to the polishing. All of the trim is protected. Now look guys, this is not us. This was here, obviously, before we even started touching the vehicle. These were possibly painted at some point, spray painted or something. The dressing is kind of reacting weird to this plastic. So this is either some sort of weird overspray. I don't really know. It's ugly. We'll see if we can remove that or polish it out. But if not, we're not going to worry about it. That's already there. But let's look at the paint. We just sprayed all of this. We're going to let it soak in. We actually just did an engine bay detail in here. I usually don't do that, but I think it was a good example to show a couple different methods for cleaning the engine bay. And it was pretty nasty. So you can use your compressed air. You can use a tornador style tool like this. Or you can use a steamer, which is what we primarily used, and it did a great job. So we'll show you that in a separate video. All of the plastics are treated. Let's get to polishing this paint. Again, light polish. We're not going to go crazy on it because this looks horrible. But the paint's pretty soft, so we're going to choose something that can cut enough and leave a good finish without going overboard. Again, this is not even a paint enhancement. This is just a light polish to remove the marring that was induced from the clay bar. You see that texture? I heard somebody say that it kind of looks like a mini leopard print And that is what it looks like. You have these little dots. Basically what it's doing is the clay mitt or the clay bar is hitting the tops of the orange peel. Orange peel is like little waves, mountains and valleys. So the clay bar, the clay mitt is kind of marring the tops of those hills, so those mountains. So it leaves those types of marks on the paint, kind of that leopard print mark. So let's test a few things out. Let's see what we can do to improve the paint. So I know we have a plethora of stuff going on here, but let's use the Max Shine all-in-one polish and see what we can do in removing the horrible marring as much as possible. Again, without going too far into paint correction or paint enhancement territory, let's just try to polish it enough to make it look good. So our favorite Lake Country orange pads, and let's see how it works. Whoa, all right. I think that's what we can work with. You don't think so?
I know, but I want it to look better.
I know, but it's not paint enhancement. I know. See, we want to go overboard, but we can't. Look, already improved. That to that. I mean, that already is kind of like a paint enhancement. Look how good it looks. Yep, that's what we're going to go with. Don't go any further.
I could see the marring still here.
Okay, well then we'll go a little bit further in those areas. But the whole vehicle, if it looks like that and not that, then the customer is going to love it because he's not paying for a paint enhancement anyway. It is really hard not to go overboard. This is not a paint enhancement, and yet we find ourselves pretty much polishing the paint like a paint enhancement. Yes, the customer is going to love it, but for time's sake, we can't go too crazy. But, okay. This is what I can live with, and I think the customer is already going to see a dramatic difference. All right, so before, look how bad the paint is, and after. Wow, yeah. See, we went a little overboard. So from that to that. Huge difference, right? But we have to be careful not to go too overboard. Now the truck is here for the entire day. I can go as far as I wanted, and you know, you can choose to do whatever you want, but just remember that time is money, and it's nice to over-deliver sometimes, but you know, you balance it. You be the judge of that. Depending on your time, if you have the time to do it, you can always tell the customer, hey, I went a little extra for you and polished it a little bit more, and they will be grateful and hopefully use your services again. But remember, each customer is different, each vehicle is different. If this paint was extremely hard and the results were still kind of looking like this, you know, there's not much you can do. You might have to just kick it up to a compound and a microfiber pad to get it looking like this, and it might take a lot more work. But at least this job is turning out pretty easy. So if the whole truck is going to look like this, look how glossy and rich it looks. That looks incredible. The customer is going to freak out when he sees this because it's super slick. All the spores are gone, and we basically did a slight paint enhancement. So let's keep working around the truck. We'll show you some little hot spots that may need a little bit extra work, but we'll show you some befores and afters as we go around the vehicle. So the engine is looking so much better. You saw how it looked before, and this isn't a show car. So we're not going to have to get into all these little intricate areas, so much so that they look perfect. This is a daily driver, it's a work truck. He just wanted it degreased, and he wanted the plastics dressed so it looks presentable. Now, if it was a show car, it's not gonna look like this, obviously. So it's not gonna have a heavy buildup of grease and grime and junk, so it would be much easier to clean. So when you're dealing with daily drivers like this, work trucks, work vehicles, or just whatever your average, everyday daily driver vehicle, then this is what the engine compartment should look like. It's cleaned, it's dressed, the plastics aren't super, super shiny. If you want them shiny, you can go ahead and spray them or, let the product dwell on here, but you don't want super shiny anyway. You want a nice, matte, clean finish, no residue, nice and dry to the touch, and it will be easier to clean next time. So it's just going to accumulate dust next time, and then you can just rinse it away, blow dry it, redress it, and you're good to go. All of the heavier stuff is removed. It looks much, much better. So guys, the truck is almost done. It is looking incredible. The red color is just super glossy. It's popping now, and we're gonna get to protecting it. So what we're gonna use for protection is the new Meguiar's bead booster. Now this stuff is pretty interesting. Pro Hybrid Ceramic Bead Booster. It's the M799. So it is an SiO2 spray coating, and it can be diluted. It can be diluted as well. So here are the 4 different ways to use this product. Full strength sealant. So that's what we're gonna use today, is a full strength sealant. We're gonna wipe it on the surface. So the second way that you can use this is as a boosted detailer. Now this can be diluted. It's an interesting dilution ratio, a little confusing at first because the dilutions are usually 1 part chemical, 3 parts water. But this is different. It says 1 part water, 3 parts product. So usually it's the other way around. So you're not diluting it by putting, say, 1/3 of the product and then the rest of it water. It's the other way around. It's a little confusing. I'm not sure why they did it that way. Because usually when you see that dilution ratio 1:3 or 3:1, it's going to be the product as the small part and the water as the larger part. But I guess the 1:3, it means 1 part water, 3 parts product. So basically you're just putting a little bit of water, like 1/3 of water into a mixture of the product. So a good thing to have is these little 16-ounce bottles, which these are like old Chemical Guys bottles or Meguiar's bottles that I basically stripped off the label, and now I can dilute product in a smaller form like this. So that actually could be a good way of using this product because you don't have any other bottles that have a label like this, which is nice, but you can make your own and then pre-dilute in little bottles like this. But I'm going to use it straight. The third and fourth way, same dilution ratio, but it can be a clay lube or a drying aid. Detailers, clay lubes, drying aids, they're usually kind of all the same thing. So it can be used in that way, which is pretty cool. But this stuff is very, very slick. I got a chance to play with it the other day and I really enjoyed using it. So we're going to use it here on the paint. And we also picked up the Dr. Beasley's metal coat. Now, the metal coat can be used on aluminum, chrome, any bare metals, and it's basically a ceramic coating on your metal. It will protect it from staining and etching, and hopefully in the front here from bugs as well. Usually, these big trucks here in Virginia love to get plastered with bug guts, all sorts of nasty stuff, and that just can be a pain to remove. So hopefully this will make it easier. But again, both the products, check out Car Supplies Warehouse, check out the links down below. So let's get to protecting the metal first, the chrome grill. I'm going to use just a simple IPA mixture. It's a 50% isopropyl alcohol and distilled water. I'll spray it on the towel and just wipe down the chrome. I'm not going to do it to the rest of the paint because I already used an all-in-one polish And even though it has its own protection, I'm going to put bead booster on top of it and layer it. Completely fine to do that. It's not going to mess anything up. It just adds an extra layer of protection. So I'm going to wipe down all the chrome, and some of the other chrome bits like the wheels and the sides of the vehicle, I'm going to polish them a little bit more. But this is not so bad. I'm just wiping it down, and then we're going to protect it. Now, like we mentioned before, you can use a ceramic coating on this, no problem. But it's nice to have a dedicated product as well. So this is a cream formula. Comes out like a little gel. Butterfly it on here. Kind of a nice smell to it as well. Basically, just apply it to the metal. Super easy. Nothing fancy. Apply it to the metal in nice, even application. This could also be a great upcharge for your customer. You can say, I can coat all of the metal for X amount of dollars. Whatever you choose to charge, it can be anywhere between $25 to even $50 for a metal coating. And hopefully, this will really help with bugs. And if you're going to maintain the vehicle, you can keep an eye on it and see if it really is helping with the bug situation. Whoa, it actually self-levels. Where I applied it here, it almost disappeared. That's interesting. I like that. That's cool. So now that all of the metal is completely and evenly coated as much as possible, just take a second towel, and it already starts to level out. So once you start seeing that, it kind of disappears. It melts into the metal. I really like a product like that. That's awesome. That's extremely easy to work with. I mean, there's nothing to wipe off. It just kind of goes away. There's some areas that it's a little bit thicker than others, but for the most part, it's all gone. Wow, that's great. I love that. If a product becomes streaky and smeary and smudgy, sometimes you can work with that and it's not a big deal, especially if the product is going to give you some good durability. But I really like a product that's easy to work with. That's incredibly easy to work with. And it feels nice and slick. You might be thinking, I said in the beginning of the video that this is going to go directly into the rain. It is. I'm just showing you for demonstration purposes. I may or may not see this vehicle again. I don't know. I'd love to be able to maintain it for the customer, but that's up to them. So I will use this on other things to try it out and see the durability on it. But ideally, you want this to bond and sit overnight, 24 hours. But some products, you don't need that. So it says here, its instant bonding formula allows for easy application and removal. So that's a good thing for this product. You don't need to wait 24 hours. Ideally, you want to. But for a mobile detailer, you can use this stuff. And if it rains, it should be okay because it bonds instantly. And it doesn't mention anything about cure time. But again, keep that within reason. If you have it overnight, it's most likely going to be better. But like this vehicle, it's going to leave in a few hours. So we'll see how that works. So on to the paint. I'm going to mist onto the towel. It says it's better to mist onto the towel anyway. And just apply it to the paint very quickly and easily. It smells delicious. I love the smell of this stuff. And I'm going to flip the towel, wipe away any of the residue. There's no smearing whatsoever. Very easy to work with. I'm not seeing any issues with any type of residue. Oh, that is sweet. I like that. Now let's just apply it to the paint and see what happens. Sometimes you just over apply it that way, but it can most likely work like that as well. But it's better if you control it and spray it on the towel. That's just what I found. That is extremely slick. Wow. Nice. That's what I've been trying to say.
Oh, that's nice.
What did I just say?
Spray it onto the paint and
No.
not the towel.
No. Wrong.
I think that's what you said.
No, that's incorrect. Isn't that great though? I love the finish.
Super slick.
Super slick. yeah, I'm loving that stuff. Well, everyone, the Ford is looking incredible. What a huge turnaround. That beautiful red cherry paint is looking incredible now. All the trim is looking beautiful. The chrome is super shiny and protected. But guys, look at the paint. Remember what it looked like before? It was really bad. And of course, this was no paint enhancement, no paint correction. It was just a minor polish. But of course, well, I guess we went a little overboard. But I guess we kind of had to also. So you determine that for yourself, how far you need to go. The paint was pretty soft on this. We could have gone much, much further, but I think the results look incredible for what the customer is paying for. So he's basically paying for a full detail with artillery fungus removal and a light polish to basically clear up any of the marring that we instilled. But this already had a ton of marring in it. He tried to remove these spores himself and it ended up really scratching the paint. So that's why you see some of these areas here that are worse than others. But the paint is so slick now. It's incredibly glossy and slick. All of those mold spores are gone. The wheels and tires look incredible. All of the chrome also is polished using the Renegade line of products. Basically, it was just the pipe dream. That's just the chrome polish. That's what we used. And on an applicator, it worked incredibly well. Now, I didn't use the Dr. Beasley's metal coat on everything, just the grill, because this is a high impact point for bugs and all of that. So this is going to help resist that and protect the chrome. Of course, all the paint was protected with the new bead booster. Really enjoying this stuff. I haven't used it diluted yet, but I am using it as a spray sealant on top of an all-in-one or even just a standalone. It is completely fine. It will bond to pretty much anything, which is awesome. Now the glass looks nice. Plastics look nice and rich. They're protected. The running boards here, the chrome looks incredible. And the interior, not much to show with the interior. We did need to clean up the plastics here. The seats barely needed anything, just spot hitting here and there. But the interior looks really nice. It didn't really look bad to begin with at all. All of the trim pieces looking beautiful. Now you see some damage here. This is actually from this lifting up. This whole bed lifts up here, the top of it, the tonneau cover. and it keeps gouging into the paint here. Kind of a bad design, but can't do anything about it. But overall, beautiful turnaround. It looks so good. All the chrome on this thing looks incredible. Very happy with the metal polishes from Renegade. They do work incredibly well. Okay guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you picked up some tips and tricks along the way as well. I try to share as much information as possible with these details. It's not just a simple washing, clay barring, waxing, polishing. I like to show all the little ins and outs and little tricks that we have found along the way, and I think it really does produce an excellent finish on the vehicle. Just going a little bit further and making sure to hit all of those little areas, because that's what detailers do. So if you're interested in any of the products or the tools that we use, check out the links down below. I should have them listed there. They will go to either Car Supply's warehouse or Amazon. And if you're interested in the videos, then check out the playlist that we have as well of all sorts of interior and exterior details. We'll have those listed below. And if you're enjoying the videos, definitely subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss stuff. We'll see you guys next time. Have a great week.